Today I want to talk about lettering because it's something that I've been interested in since like the second grade, and it's something that's super interesting and that I think is often overlooked. And so if you're interested in art or if you just want to understand lettering a little bit, first, if you don't want to hear my quick intro explanation, you can just jump to the actual tutorial, which starts at 3:17, and go ahead and get started. My first disclaimer is that hand lettering is something that has existed for centuries, and there are certain artists who dedicate their entire lives, their entire careers towards perfecting their skill. This video is not that. There are tons of great instructional resources, much more talented artists, and just better all-around resources. My goal here is just to help you understand the basics that go into lettering. So if you want to start creating your own titles for projects, working in a sketchbook, or just sort of building your artistic skills or get started somewhere, hopefully this can give you just a basic foundation. The best part about lettering is how versatile and applicable it is. So you can be doing lettering on the side of a skyscraper, or you're a teacher on the whiteboard in front of the class, or you're stuck in school and you have to do a group project that you want to look just a little bit better than the other group projects. Understanding lettering can be really beneficial. There are all kinds of different methods of creating your lettering. Lately, digital techniques, things like, tablets and fancy styluses, drawing tablets, graphics tablets are great for putting in hand-drawn touches into a digital medium. And then of course there's always, sketchbooks and notepads and just scratch paper, plain old printer paper. All of it is great, all of it will help you practice. A really fun thing to do when you start lettering is to get really into the tools. There's a certain charm and a certain mystique with pens and inks and markers and pencils that you can use to create different effects and different styles that you really don't find anywhere else. With those, you can add in all kinds of graphic details, you can add in color to your work, and not just color, but you can blend color in really interesting ways, you can combine color in interesting ways, you can add in paints, you can add in different materials. There's really no limit to what you can do. But really, in terms of just day-to-day lettering, all you need is a writing utensil. My favorite thing to use are these Papermate Flare pens. They're just fine tip markers, they have a lot of ink, they have a good tip size. They have a good line size, and they're really easy to write with, and they're really smooth, and they're good for filling in stuff. So these are my favorite things. They're a little bit expensive. It can be like $14 for a box of 12 or so, but they're definitely worth it. But of course, just any pencil, pen, colored pencil, marker will work, and then you can find specific things that work for you. Just like with most things, it's not necessarily about the tools, it's about what you're doing with those tools. So especially when you're just getting started, anything will work. And a truly talented artist can do something great with any tool, much in the same way that someone who hasn't put in the time to build their talents won't be able to do anything with even the best tools. Step 1, start with your own handwriting, or at least a basic alphabet. Most of us already have handwriting. Some of us have very neat handwriting, some of us have very sloppy handwriting, but we all have our own fairly unique handwriting style. And that's a great place to start because that's something that you can build off of. There are a ton of resources to gain inspiration, but I would just really look at stuff that you like. Advertisements, product packaging, movie posters, album covers, all those things where you see lettering and you see design and you start to look at it as a piece of art rather than just text. There are lots of official techniques. If you're using a brush pen, how you're supposed to do the upstrokes and the downstrokes and vary the widths of the lines and all of these kinds of things. That stuff is very important, very beneficial, and truly part of the craft. But if you're just getting started and you want to make something that looks neat, I would suggest starting either with your own handwriting or just start with a simple alphabet. Just make, the letter A. Just write out the alphabet, A, B, C, etc. You know how it goes. And start to get familiar with the shapes of the letters in a way that you haven't been before, because this is the ultimate tip in this video. This is the ultimate point in this video. Step 2, when dealing with lettering, you are not writing letters, you are drawing the shapes of the letters. So here's what I mean by that. With the style of lettering I personally prefer, a lot of people see it and want to start doing it on their own. This happens all the time with students at the schools where I work. They see my writing and they want to start copying it. And their impulse is to always just sort of take a big marker, the biggest marker they can find, and start sort of just writing boldly. And they think that that's going to look the same, but it's not really the same thing at all, because I'm not writing out my letters when I do this, I'm drawing the shapes of the letters. So I'm not drawing the letter A, I'm drawing 3 lines that come together to create the letter A. I think this sounds like a really simple technique, but it's really one of the biggest hurdles to overcome when you're starting with lettering, which is to look at letters, which you've spent most of your life seeing as text that you read, looking at that as shapes, as art, as design, as style. That's a totally different perspective than what most people have dealt with for most of their lives. But once you do that, everything else kind of opens up. And step 3, remember that words have their own shape. And as you work through lettering, you'll start to understand which letters, which combinations of letters, which words are more visually appealing than others. And after that, step 4 is practice. Every chance you get, just start lettering. If you're in a meeting and you're making notes, make your headings look interesting. Don't just write Monday, 9 a.m. meeting, right? Monday, 9 a.m. meeting. The main reason that I wanted to share this with you today is because lettering seems so small. Who cares? You're just writing, maybe you're writing neatly, but I've seen it become so beneficial to me. I've built relationships off of people who just happened to see something that I was lettering, and then that started a conversation and they became like lifelong friends. And then most importantly, everything is just kind of more fun. I know how to communicate more visually, more effectively, more interestingly, and it also gives an appreciation for this art form that has existed for so long and that is really such a big part of our world that is kind of often overlooked. So there you go, those are my quick tips on, So there you go, those are my quick pointers on lettering. I'm always happy to answer any questions. The biggest thing that I wanted to convey though was to get the idea across that when you're dealing with lettering, you're actually drawing shapes, you're not just writing letters. And once you realize that, the whole world kind of goes and you see things in a completely different way, and you should see your progress really start to take off. Good luck, Godspeed, sorry for all the stupid jokes.